Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Daily Recap, where we give you a recap of all of the hot topics that we covered that day. You can catch them in their long format and also catch it fully streaming for free on Apple Podcasts. So yesterday, they were on Gil's Arena, and they were talking about the comments that Victor Wembanyama had to make about his perennial matchups with Chet Holmgren. And during this conversation, somehow it kind of turned into rivals. And on the panel, you had Gilbert Arenas, you had Nick Young, Brandon Jennings, and Kenyon Martin. And the host, I think his name is Josiah. So they're talking about this thing. And you could see quickly that the conversation was now veering off to another direction. And I think it was Brandon Jennings that brought up Carmelo versus LeBron James, especially when LeBron was in Cleveland. Now, for those of you who don't know, they all came in the same draft class: Carmelo, D-Wade, LeBron, right? And Carmelo Anthony was supposed to win the Rookie of the Year. Somehow he lost the Rookie of the Year to LeBron, even though his team made the playoffs. But throughout the years, they really used to compete with one another. When Melo was in Denver and LeBron was with the Cavs, they used to really go at each. Even when Melo went to the Knicks, right? It was always Showtime TV to see, primetime TV to see LeBron versus Melo, and they used to have some battles, right? And it was must-see TV because you're seeing top forwards in the NBA going, small forwards going at one another, and that's how the league used to be. You would have big marquee matchups like guards going against certain guards, forwards like maybe Tracy McGrady versus Paul Pierce. That's the way the NBA was. Kevin Garnett versus Tim Duncan, Kobe versus, I don't know, Vince Carter or Tracy. However, that's how the NBA, Steve Francis versus Baron Davis or Steve Nash. That's how the league was, right? So it was very much a thing. But then Brandon Jennings started talking about, oh, well, it's not a rivalry because LeBron was winning all of the MVP awards. And Kenyon Martin was like, bro, you know what you're talking about. This ain't got nothing to do with MVPs. This has to do with one-on-one matchups and me going at the other guy, right? And then just degenerated into this big shouting match and people were going off on one another. And then Kenyon Martin, in the midst of all of that, decides to basically say the thing that a lot of us knew, which was, if LeBron was as bad as he was and he was doing all of this stuff to Melo and why did he run to Miami? And I'm like, ooh, LeBron fans are not going to be happy about this. So what we want to do is we want to play exactly what these guys had to say to one another here, and I want to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to these guys here.
I get that point, but I don't think so because Chet played with the MVP, and the way and where Wemby's going in his career, I don't think Chet is ever going to be able to get those awards or ever be able to compete to be able to say, yo, this is a rivalry.
Because not the awards, but we guard each other.
But it's like we guard each other. But it's like to me, it's like, all right, when you say player rivalries, right? I'm thinking, when I say Magic and Bird, right? Yeah. Michael Jordan versus everybody in the 90s. You know, what you got?
Kobe T-Mac,
you know,
they do the same, they got the same skill set.
What is it? LeBron and Steph.
They got the same. No, that was not a rivalry.
I think that's a rivalry.
Same skill set.
That's a rivalry.
Right? It was LeBron versus Melo and LeBron versus KD versus Melo.
See, I don't even think that was a real rivalry.
It was LeBron versus Golden State Warriors. There's never been a rivalry.
The Melo and Bron thing, I think that lasted. I think that lasted maybe 2 years, like maybe 2 or 3 years, and then after that, it was a wrap.
Yeah, it was still.
Watch them.
I think that's
those games when you're thinking about team success. No. What I'm telling you is, go watch them two play against each other. They guard. It's them. They both. Go watch them. Listen, I was 6.5 years in Denver, a year and a half in New York. And
one was getting MVPs, and the other one was.
We're talking about the individual matchup.
I know, but that stops the rivalry.
No, that doesn't stop the rivalry.
I think that stops the rivalry, though. Because
it was more about.
Now you want to bring trophies in. We're talking about the individual.
I think that was like
No, but that's the rivalry. How's it gonna be a rivalry if I'm getting MVP and all this, and you can't compare somebody to me that's not even on my level?
Because they came in together.
That's cool.
LeBron has his Rookie of the Year trophy at home.
MVP.
So, listen, I'm saying the man has his Rookie of the Year trophy at home.
Melo thought he deserved it.
Okay, stop that. His rookie. That was
Melo didn't think that. if I'm getting
sports world, you have a better team.
Including Melo.
You have a better
team.
No. LeBron had a better team than
never
Melo?
had a better team than
Coming in,
Melo.
won MVPs?
No,
he didn't.
No, he did not.
Never had a better team
No, we're not doing that. Didn't Melo make the playoffs his rookie year?
Yes.
When he
that
won
Denver team was way better than the Cleveland.
That
Denver team was way better than the Cleveland.
When he
Which
won
team y'all? Hold on. Whoa.
That's one of the most overrated
Denver teams y'all speak of, because do know that I played that, right?
No, that's fine.
That's
And I do understand. And I do know LeBron James
was better than Cleveland.
MVPs and once I win the MVP,
okay, we talking about the MVP.
There's no more rivalry.
Go watch the game.
You gotta go get the MVP. There's no more rivalry.
Go watch the game. Now you're bringing trophies into it.
If I get an MVP and they want to talk about this is rivalry, this ain't no rivalry.
Matchup.
This ain't no rivalry no more.
Go look at the numbers.
This ain't no rivalry. Go get the hardware.
Look at the numbers. When they played when every team Bron was on, Melo was on, go look at the numbers.
Go look at the wins. Go look at the domination. Go look at who's winning MVP every year.
Go look at the
5 years to the finals. How's this a rivalry?
Sound good.
How's this a rivalry?
Sound good. That's team success.
Y'all use team success.
What do you mean? I'm the MVP of NBA. How is that team success? I'm the best nigga in the league. What are we talking about?
Let me ask you something.
It can't be
My team sucked in Cleveland and we got to the finals.
Hold on.
And got swept.
And got the MVP.
Hold on.
And got swept.
If me and you play against each other, we're guarding each other. You average 30 and I average 30. No matter if my team is good or bad, this is our scores. If your team is number 1 and I'm last, and we're both playing against each other, and I'm scoring 30 every time I play you. You go win a championship. We still have a rivalry, me and you. Because no matter how good my team is, when we play you, I come to play.
That's what you come to play in the regular season, but you never come to play when it counts the most, and that's in the finals. When you're not there, so it doesn't matter. You're not there. So this is not a rivalry. This is not a rivalry. You ain't there. You ain't there,
right?
No, but they got to the playoffs. I didn't say they were supposed to win. I said they got to the playoffs. They got to the playoffs.
There were 8.
They got to the playoffs.
There were 8.
Did LeBron James get to the playoffs? No. So what happened?
In a weak ass
Eastern Conference.
So why didn't he? If all this
I mean, the East is weak. Everybody played in the East. Everybody played in the East. The East is weak. His team was trash. On the same team, everybody was fighting against him. Didn't want to play all this. But then again, 3 years later after that, what? MVP, and then I'm going to the finals.
Right?
I'm the guy. This is my team. LeBron James.
Yes, all that. But
thank you. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Go watch the game, Brandon. Go watch the game.
I did.
Go watch. No, I did. Go watch.
I did watch the games.
Which games?
I did watch.
Which games?
All of them. I watched the games.
Each time Melo played Bron.
I saw LeBron. Yes.
Each time.
It was a rival. You know why it was a rival? Yes. They came in, boom, boom, boom. But after he got MVP, it's a wrap.
Brandon said too.
So once he got MVP, it was a wrap.
So you watched the game every time they played against each other. You watched those.
It was a wrap. I don't care what the numbers were.
Every time they played against each other, you watched those games.
When he got MVP, when LeBron James got MVP, it was a wrap.
I heard that already.
I know, so it doesn't matter.
So you said that shit 7 times.
Don't matter. So
I'm asking you a different question.
What?
You just stated that. So you watched every game that Melo played against LeBron. You watched every game. Every single one of them.
Damn near.
No, that ain't what I asked.
Damn near. Damn near. I mean, damn near.
So that wasn't a rivalry. So when they played against each other, that wasn't a rivalry?
Yeah, in the first couple years. In the first couple years, yes.
When LeBron was in Miami,
I don't see no rivalry.
When LeBron was in Miami and Melo came to town.
Look at them numbers.
Was when Melo came to town.
Look at the numbers. That's still basketball. That ain't a rivalry.
Pull them up. Pull the numbers up.
Yeah.
All I know is at the end of the year, who was doing this?
If Kobe come to town,
y'all are using team success.
No, that's just the name.
And he had to go join some. So what are you saying?
Team success.
If he would have stayed his ass in Cleveland, would he have done all that? We talking truth, right? Like we talking truth, right? If he would have stayed his ass in Cleveland, he wouldn't have the money. He went down and joined another team.
The fact is,
we're talking facts.
The fact is what happened.
The fact is what happened.
The fact is what happened.
The fact is what happened. And join another
MVP.
Finals. Let me
join another
Hold on. Hey, since this is before your time,
and join another team.
Let me show you the difference between join another team. Between mindsets, between team success, stop it, and player success. There was a guy by the name of Kobe who had 3 rings.
There you go.
Yes.
There was a dude in Orlando who was beating him in scoring. Do you think Kobe used his 3 rings to say this is not a competition? He said, this team, this is between me and him. I supposed to beat him, because my team is better. But that's my rival right there. That's who I'm trying to beat. He beat me in a scoring title. I want this scoring title because I don't want him to have it. That was my rivalry. Shaq, do not double. This is between me and him.
Okay.
Leave me on the island just like he's going to be left on the island. Don't help. This is one-on-one. What'd you hear Shaq say? Hey, all right, Mr. Badass, guard the mother yourself. Nobody help him. He said he can stop him. Do it. They're a rival. That is the isolate. The rings don't matter at that point. Kobe had 3. You don't use team success when it's just me and you. It's just me and you.
Right. So
that's what that is.
And in this situation,
so if I'm 0-20 and you're 20-0 and we come to town, I'm expecting you to stop me. Because me and you guarding each other. Right. So if I give your ass 45,
right, during the regular season,
don't use your team record.
No,
don't use your team record and say, oh, we got the win.
Listen, you did all that.
We got the win.
Because listen, at the end of the day, where are you at when it's time to go get that ring, though? Where are you, though? You're not in the building. I don't give a fuck. I don't care what you told you.
Not joining another team. That's where I'm at.
And then also that point that you made about Kobe.
Not going to Miami.
Listen, that point.
My talents to
that point that y'all made about Kobe, I'm sorry.
I ain't taking my talents
I'm LeBron James. I was always number 1. I ain't had to deal with that shit.
Melo didn't take his talent to the best to go join another. He didn't do that.
He got
different minds. He didn't do that. No, that was later. At his peak, we're talking. No, that was later, right? When he was so he didn't jump ship. When
he wasn't still Melo. He wasn't still Melo when he got to New York.
He didn't jump ship out of Denver. When he didn't jump ship, let me see. Who in the West? Who in the West can I go join? You know what? Let me go join Kobe.
Hey, listen, hold on.
Whoa.
Did he have the leverage?
Let me go join.
Did he have the leverage? Did he have the leverage? Did he have the leverage?
Melo go join Kobe.
Did he have the leverage?
Melo
did he have that leverage?
Thank you.
Did he have the leverage?
Free agents just leave. Did Dwayne Wade not have a championship already when LeBron James got the Miami?
Yeah, and then
did he have a championship? It's a yes or no question.
Yeah, he had one.
It's a yes or so. Therefore, the other dude had more team success than you, so you go join another dude. Because you took your ass to the finals and got swept.
Yeah, I got swept. I did all I could.
So you did all you could, but you couldn't get it done. So then you go join them. So this guy didn't do that.
Okay.
Excellent. So you heard what they had to say. I gotta say, Brandon Jennings was doing a lot of shouting, but he didn't know what he was talking about. Number 1. Number 2, he was trying to oversimplify the conversation. Oh, because I won the MVP, that makes I'm the best in the NBA. No, it don't. Because you won the MVP means you won the MVP. That's all it means. It means generally you were the best player on the best team with the biggest impact. That's what the MVP has always meant. It doesn't mean you're the best player in the world. It never meant that, right? The year Barkley won the MVP over Jordan, he was better than Jordan. Like, what are we talking about? The year Steve Nash won MVPs over Kobe and Shaq, he was better than, so knock it off, right? Number 1. Number 2, Brandon Jennings and Nick Young, y'all was doing a lot of, y'all was working really hard to ride LeBron's nuts in that sound. But y'all was working extra. It's nah, we riding his nuts, man. Nah, there ain't no stopping us. Ain't no getting off. Nah, bro, we riding this train. It gave that kind of vibe. Y'all was really, really down for the get down in that sound. Y'all was a little bit too fired up over it. Right? That's the way it came off to me. In terms of LeBron, bro, who don't know this? That's why a lot of the people in the comments were not happy, because Gil's Arena has a lot of LeBron fans that follow that page. So they were not happy. Oh, why Kenyon always mad? They can say whatever they want. They can't say he was lying. So he's saying that Melo wasn't this. He was winning the MVP. So he was like, if he was that dude, why did he go to Miami? This is the point that Kenyon Martin, if he was that dude and he's the best, why did he run to Miami? He was also talking about the fact, son, the East was trash. So going to all of those finals, it don't matter because the conference was ass cheeks. And he was saying Melo was facing tougher competition in the West. Then Gil brought up the point of, oh, if you take the top dogs all in the way, if you move them to the East, they're going to, and it's true. Who don't know this? The East was ass. It only had two teams. That was either the Celtics or the Pistons for a short period, and then the Magic. And then one year you had the Atlanta Hawks that played well. In the West, it was stout from top to bottom. top to bottom. Denver, the Lakers, the Spurs, the Mavs. I can't even remember Portland at one point. Like OKC. Like, what are we talking about here? But he brought up a good point. Yes, he ran. It's one of the reasons. So if you're saying he's this and this, why did he run? Why did he run? You're getting on Melo. He was like, Melo could have been like, I'm going to go play with Kobe Bryant. I'm going to go play with Tim Duncan. He could have did the same thing. So Kenyon Martin brought up a point that I think that a lot of the guys on that follow that channel don't want to hear, but it's the truth. And I feel like Brandon Jennings was doing a lot of shouting, but he wasn't really being reasonable. I'm the MVP. I'm the best. No, you're not. Winning the MVP does not make you the best player in the world. It does not make you the best player in the world. It doesn't. It doesn't. So all the years that Jordan never won the MVP, he won 5. All the other years, he wasn't the best. Like, come on, knock it off. Like, knock it. That's a simplistic way of looking at things. And then Kenyon Martin is saying, okay, let's follow that line of thinking. If you're the best, why you run? Why did you go join another finals MVP and a guy that just led the league in scoring the year prior in D Wade? Why did you bring a 20-10 guy, Chris Bosh, that was always leading his teams to the playoffs in the Eastern Conference? Why'd you do that if you're the best? Melo didn't do that. It's the point he's making. And then he turned, well, he could have did that, but he didn't. Because back then, you did something like that, you would look like a bozo. It was only players towards the end of their primes that they gave a green light. That's why Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen didn't get the same smoke that D Wade, Chris Bosh, and those other guys got in the heart of their primes. But we know this already. The only people that don't know this are people that sit down and read Basketball Reference all day long. Those are the only ones that don't know this. Everybody else, we know this. President Trump shocked the entire world, right? With the comments that he made after the tragic passing of Rob Reiner and his wife. He wrote this on his social media page. He said, a very sad thing just happened last night in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, tortured and struggling, but once very talented movie director and comedy star, has passed away together with his wife, Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome, sometimes referred to as TDS. He was known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession of President Donald J. Trump, with his obvious paranoia reaching new heights as the Trump administration surpassed all goals and expectations of greatness, and with the golden age of America upon us, perhaps like never before. May Rob and Michelle rest in peace. Well, this particular post was viewed 25 million times, just as one post that I'm looking at here. But everyone in the political world and outside the political world reacted to it, and people went off. Even a lot of the people that voted for Donald Trump, they were scolding him for the comments that he made. And then the president took it a step further and then doubled down when asked about it when he was speaking in the White House. So you had that entire debacle there. So yesterday, I was just going through the internet and I came across a video of Stephen A. Smith from his show, The Straight Shooter, reacting to the comments that the president made. And the title of his show is My Thoughts on the Death of Rob and Michelle Reiner, Donald Trump's Response on Social Media. And this video has about 100,000 views. So I was very curious to hear what Stephen A. Smith was going to say about this, because Stephen A. Smith has been making a lot of headlines recently. The comments that really had him going viral was him basically doubling down on his ridiculous comments on Senator Mark Kelly, who essentially told service members it's within your right to disobey unlawful orders. And Stephen A. Smith went on The View and for whatever reason decided that, you know what, although these comments are idiotic, although they make no sense, although a lot of the majority of people that served and are currently serving say you're absolutely wrong, he still decided to double down on it. So for those of you who don't remember his comments on The View, I want to play them quickly for you now, and I'm going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to Smith here.
And you had some really sharp criticisms of Democrats in the election for having sort of lost touch with the issues the voters cared about.
Yep.
How are you feeling now, a year into Trump, and what do you make of this discussion around affordability and him saying it seems like it's a scam from Democrats?
Well, that's rhetoric on his part. There's nothing surprising or unpredictable about that. You could see that coming from a mile away, because he has to say that right now because it's an issue and a concern for the American people. And he wants to act as if there is no concern because everything he's doing is just so beautiful and so marvelous and what have you. But in the end, the Democrats give the credit where credit is due at this particular moment in time. I think that they've learned from some of their mistakes anyway. When you see what happened in New York with Mamdani, when you see what happens in New Jersey with Cheryl as the governor, when you see what happens with Spanberger in Virginia, clearly there's something that's going on within the Democratic establishment that's saying, let's focus on real issues that are pertinent to the American people. Let's make sure we articulate ourselves appropriately so we don't lose sight of what the message should be. Leading up to the election, they did just that, and I thought they handed him the election as opposed to him actually winning it. Now they're forcing him to play ball and figure out a way to beat them because they're coming and they're gaining some momentum. We'll see what happens.
Now, let me just remind you that Pete Hegseth said in 2016, I do think there have to be consequences for abject war crimes. If you're doing something that is just completely unlawful and ruthless, then there is a consequence for that. That's why the military said it won't follow unlawful orders from their commander-in-chief. Okay. Now, given the fact that the secretary himself said that, I'd love to give you the opportunity to perhaps change your position on what you said.
I'm not changing a thing.
Okay.
I didn't stutter when I said it.
You want to stay loud and wrong?
Well, you could call it loud and wrong all you want to. You're entitled to your opinion. I'm entitled to mine. Okay. Here's the reality of the situation. First of all, I don't give a damn what Pete Hegseth has to say because I will tell you right now, he was never qualified for the job. When you talk about DEI and eradicating that, excuse me, what was he doing hosting Fox News on the weekend and all of a sudden he's the defense secretary? Please, give me a break. I don't care what he has to say. Let me get that out the way. As it pertains to Mark Kelly, what I was talking about is military. What I did was get on the phone with family and friends who have served in the military. And I said, we're not civilians. This is not the court of law. You can be implicated for implying something if you are a former military member or you are a present military member. It wasn't what Mark Kelly said. It's the fact that he was a combat Navy pilot who served in the military who would tell folks, ignore an order when it could get them in the war. I said illegal. I said illegal. I'm talking about legal. I understand that.
He said you don't have to follow an unlawful order, and that is in the military code of conduct.
And I'm saying to you, hold on, which I'm aware of.
But it didn't sound like you were aware of that.
Well, no. I disagree with you.
Stephen, can I ask you a question?
I had two governors, by the way, text me to tell me I was wrong, and they agree with you.
You are wrong.
I had two senators that reached out to me and said, you weren't wrong at all.
Well, Mikey Sherrill did say that the reason they felt the need to put that out is they were constantly being approached by people in the military saying, we're being put in really uncomfortable situations. But that to me is a little more relatable when you're a veteran yourself.
But I'm saying let me say this real quick.
You got to do real quick. Or wait till we come back.
All I'm saying is this. If you're a member of the military, I'm looking at the soldiers as saying, don't get yourself in trouble. Let somebody else do it. Don't you do it because it ain't going to work for you.
Excellent. So you heard what Smith had to say there. So after hearing him kind of go down this path, and I think Stephen A. Smith is part of MAGA, I could be wrong, but it seems like certainly that's his audience. I thought that he was going to take a similar tone and defend the president. But to my surprise and to the shock of his own viewers, he actually started going after the president and scolding him for the comments that he made. So for those of you who didn't hear what Stephen A. Smith had to say, I want to play his comments for you now on the Straight Shooter Show, and I'm going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to Stephen A. Smith here.
Now, one has nothing to do with the other, and we get that, but violence is violence. And when Charlie Kirk got assassinated, people like myself and various others were like, yo, he got killed. Don't come to us with the rhetoric that you believe he was spewing online and when he was going to college campuses. And all of that's up for debate in terms of what he said, how offensive it was, and to whom, and all of that other stuff. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about prioritizing a core level of decency where somebody gets killed, somebody gets murdered. That ain't the time to be sticking out your chest and basically indicating that they brought it on themselves because of whatever, when there should never be any place for violence. And you would think that our commander-in-chief, the president of the United States of America, would know this better than anybody. But evidently this man does not. And this is the kind of stuff that I'm talking about, which pisses me off. Because guess what? I want a healthy debate about Trump in terms of, are the tariffs working? Did he do the right thing with the border? How's the economy? Is inflation really ravaging us? Are these commitments that he's gotten, these pledges of trillions of dollars that are supposed to be coming into the United States of America, is that real? And is that going to trim our deficit down from $38.4 trillion to whatever number you hope to get it down to? What about the Affordable Care Act and the subsidies that were implemented, particularly since COVID? How's that going to be addressed? What about that shutdown that took place? What about 42 million people on SNAP? And some of them still don't have their SNAP programs in place for them. How about the fact that a resolution wasn't reached in terms of the Affordable Care Act subsidies and whether or not they're going to be extended for a year or 3 years or not at all? How are the American people going to survive off of the high elevated level of prices that are going to come courtesy of the premiums? That's what I would like to be discussing. That's what I would like to be debating. So when the president talks about how great he is and all these things that he has done, I'd like to focus on that. And where he's right, I'd like to give him credit for it. And where he's wrong, I'd like to say he's wrong based on the facts. But it's stuff like this where all of that gets shoved aside because the classlessness, the juvenile tendencies, the lack of statesmanship, the trifling ass tendencies that he exercises and puts on display time and time again knows no limits. Knows no limits. Rob Reiner and his wife just got murdered. Less than 24 hours at the time of this taping. Their son has been arrested for murdering them. You're hearing gross details about how they were murdered. And all you hear about is stab wounds, but if you really, really look into it, it was far more malicious than even that. And the president is blaming Trump derangement syndrome. In other words, they were so nasty towards him, that's why it happened. This is the kind of stuff that's going to get GOP folks out of office. And why am I bringing that up? Because guess what? Even though you speak out against him in terms of how inappropriate his verbiage is and how disgusting and vile it is and inexcusable for anybody, but especially a man in his position, the other side to it is that you're going to speak up in arms in defense of him and march lockstep with him under most circumstances, going along with what he says, going along with how he wants you to vote, but most importantly, a lot of times shoving aside the rhetoric because you're saying that's just Trump being Trump. And then you're going to wonder why your ass is going to get booted out of office. This is the kind of stuff that we're talking about here.
Excellent. So you heard what he had to say. Now, before I delve into my thoughts on what this gentleman said here, I want to read what his viewers said. Because some people were going after him. Let me just see. Some people finally, one guy said, he said Stephen A. Smith is now going woke, unsubscribed. Another guy said, one person said, I totally agree with you. Then a few other of his viewers, I don't know if they deleted the comments, but a few of them were actually going off on Stephen A. Smith, and his audience members were not happy with him. I don't know why I can't find the comments anymore, but people were absolutely calling him out. And a lot of his viewers were not happy with him. And they were basically saying, he's gone woke and this and that and this and that. It was pretty bad. But then what ended up happening was that he was getting a groundswell of support from, I guess, new viewers, right? And a lot of the tone that Stephen A. Smith took in the sound, I've always believed that this is who he has always been, right? I believe that this is who he has always been all this time. So I think, to me and many people, a lot of us were confused as to why all of a sudden he was taking these strong conservative points. What are my thoughts on this? First of all, Stephen A. Smith got it right. Had you said anything other than what he said, you would have been flamed up. Why? Because even the president's own base was calling him out. And one of the things that they were saying, amongst many, but one of the things that we're saying was, we're not like the left. The left were celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk, and we are better than that. That's what a lot of them were saying. So a lot of them felt like the president's comments were making them as a movement look bad, because it was like, now you're making it seem like we're no different than than those that were celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. But the part that I think that his base seems to be absolutely confused about was Trump already said that this is how he said it in the memorial service of or the memorial, the burial of Charlie Kirk. He said that because his wife had gone up there and said she forgave the killers, the person that took her husband's life, which is a very powerful thing to say in a moment like that, because usually in a moment like that, you want to seek revenge. But she took the higher road, and a lot of people applauded her for that. But that's not what the president said. He said that she's a much better person than me because I hate my enemies. That's Trump. I hate my enemies. So when Rob Reiner passed away, he viewed him as an enemy. And it's like, so what he passed away? He's my enemy. And he then tried to make it seem like the son that did it was because it was almost like it was a politically motivated a thing that the son did, allegedly, right? So Stephen A. Smith pushing back on him, I mean, it's like, bro, there are a lot of things to push back on, right? Now, do I think that this is something that's going to fracture his coalition? No. But I think there are other things out there that are going to affect it. Cost of living, cost of groceries, inflation. These things are already bad enough. The jobs report came out recently. They refused to release the October report. They just released the December report. I think November report, they added about 100,000 jobs. October, I think they lost 60,000. So it was a net gain over the last 2 months of 40,000 new jobs. That alone is enough bad news. And you can see it in the approval ratings and all of that. So I think Stephen A. Smith did the smart thing, because had he said anything other than that, it would have been a bad look. It would have been a bad look. And there's no one on the right defending these comments. And I think that it's important that we say this. I said this in the other show, but I want to say it now. Some people said, but what about those that celebrated the passing of Charlie Kirk? And I wasn't one of them. And I believe that the people that were celebrating Charlie Kirk's demise are animals. I believe that. I believe you're an animal if you celebrate. There's nothing to celebrate. Why would you celebrate that, right? It was a grotesque killing. Something, and I didn't want to watch the video until, unfortunately, someone was talking about it. I ended up seeing it, and I was just so disappointed in myself that I saw it, because it was just so brutal, right? It was so brutal. But so were these comments. Right? So if you're making excuses for the Charlie Kirk's passing or making fun, then you're an animal. But if you're also defending these comments, you're an animal as well. Thank God Stephen A. Smith got it right, because had he said something else, it would not have been good for him. So yesterday was the finale of the NBA Cup, right? Versus the Knicks versus the San Antonio Spurs. And I was watching bits and pieces of the game, but I wasn't that emotionally invested in the game, to be honest with you. I just wasn't, because I'm not really emotionally invested in this NBA Cup, to be honest with you. Number one. Number two, and I'm going to be dead serious with you, I don't even know the rules. I don't know the rules. I don't know nothing about the groups, nothing. It just wasn't something that was interesting for me. And the reason is because I just felt like it just seemed like so much of a gimmick, right? It just seemed like so much of a gimmick to me. It just felt like something that the NBA did to create excitement in a point of the season where there's no excitement. Why? Because usually they say the NBA season usually starts after Christmas, so they wanted to buffer something in between there to kind of gain some excitement. And I guess it worked, because the ratings seem to be good. But one of the people that's not a fan of it and the initiative that Adam Silver put forward is Charles Barkley. And recently he made some comments on the channel. Where did I see the channel? He was on Tom Tolbert show. He was on the Tom Tolbert show. And Tom, I guess, asked Charles Barkley to weigh in on the NBA Cup and everything like that. And in typical Charles Barkley fashion, he didn't hold back. So what we want to do is we want to play what Charles had to say. The comments are very short. It's only about a minute or so. And then we're going to come back and continue on with the show. Take a listen to Charles Barkley here.
Well, number one, I think the cup thing is somewhat embarrassing. What I mean by that is I'm disappointed in my players that we're having. Number one, God bless them for making money. Okay, I'm disappointed that we have to make an in-season tournament to make these guys more money, so they won't do load management.
Yeah.
So these guys, God bless them, making a lot of money. I never begrudged them because I didn't make it what they're making, but I made a great living. But to have to pay these guys extra money to make them play other games, they should play basketball because they're well compensated to play basketball. To do an in-season tournament to make them extra money, come on, man, that's a little bit ridiculous.
Excellent. So you heard what Charles had to say. What are my thoughts about this? As I said before, I have no interest in the NBA Cup whatsoever. I don't care about it. I don't think it's something that's of consequence. I think it's something that they just made up to essentially incentivize players to give a damn. These players are not doing this for free. Like, they're not doing it for free. They're doing it because it's a pot of gold at the end of it. Do you think that these guys would give that much of a damn if there was no money involved? We're at the point now in the NBA where you have to financially incentivize players to give a damn. Their salaries are just simply not enough. Very soon, they're going to probably have to put up cash prizes to go compete in a slam dunk contest, or cash prizes to, like they tried that with the All-Star. It's just, this is where we are in this game, and it's sad, right? It's sad, and this current generation of guys, they really dropped the ball to the point where now things like this need to be put in place. He was even giving him credit for the play-in tournament. But why did he give him credit for the play-in tournament? Because teams at a certain point just stopped caring. So now putting in the play-in tournament, it now causes teams to compete that would have otherwise just packed it in for the rest of the season, the 9th, 10th seed, and now go out there and try to compete to make it into the playoffs. That's why it was created. Now, fortunately, it worked because it's a good mechanism that they put in place, and I think it's something that's actually good, right? Because that is entertaining, and I agree with Chuck there. But at the heart of it, it all came back to, do these guys want to compete or not? And the answer is no. So they're making all-time money and giving an all-time low in effort. This is where we are. It's unfortunate, but that's the reality. And more importantly, this is going to be the reality moving forward. These guys are made men. By the time they get their first contract, they're made men. After they make it past their rookie contract, they're made men at this point. For goodness sakes, we have Austin Reeves, and not a shot at him. He's been playing well, but he's in line to get a max contract of $200 million. At one point, Carmelo Anthony and players like that were getting contracts of $135 million. Like Carmelo Anthony caliber players, Tim Duncan caliber players, Kevin Garnett caliber players. Now role players can get that kind of money playing in the NBA. So can you just imagine what the stars are getting? So the stars are getting all this money. And then also, it comes back to what Michael Jordan spoke about during his NBC interview, which was, it's all about the brand now, right? Everything is done with the mindset of, okay, the brand, got to protect the brand, got to protect the brand, got to protect the brand. That's what seems to be informing a lot of the decisions that these young men are making. Is this going to help my brand? If I go into the slam dunk contest and I lose, is it going to help my brand? So that's where we are now, right? So Charles is complaining about it, but I really don't see anything changing. As far as the NBA Cup, I have paid zero significance to it. And I don't think it's something that should matter going into the future. One, because who wins the NBA Cup is not going to win the finals. It's not the most competitive thing going in the league, so why should it matter? That's why when I saw the Lakers pouring champagne all over each other's bodies and hollering and screaming and putting up banners, I'm like, this is a disgrace. The team that won the NBA Cup, did they win the championship that year? The team that's won the Cup over the last year, have they won the championship? No. The most competitive form of basketball is the playoffs. So why should an NBA Cup all of a sudden carry so much significance? To me, it's a gimmick, and I think Charles Barkley is right. It's something to get people engaged, but it's not something I'm going to be paying much attention, unless the teams in the finals are so interesting, like the teams in the semifinals, which was the Spurs versus the Thunder. That was very interesting, but because of the teams. But the Spurs versus the Knicks, I mean, shout out to the Knicks, and I know Knicks fans were celebrating yesterday. Shout out to them, but wasn't much excitement for me.